What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Sunday morning. I know I'm normally not on live on Sunday, but here we go. Um, so today I'm talking about not feeling like you're enough when it comes to parenting a superhero, a child with different abilities. Um, and I know that this is an issue for me at times. But parenting a child with different abilities often leaves you feeling like you're not enough as a parent because there are so many people in your mix. There's always someone offering an opinion. There are therapists and teachers and administrators and doctors and just so many different people in your mix that have things to say. So it's really easy as a parent of a child with superpowers, a quirky kid, a child with special needs. It's really easy to feel like you're not enough and that you're not doing enough for them. And, it's already hard as a parent, right? On GP. But when you add in that factor of where there are just additional pieces that come in where you're not just a parent, you're also a caregiver and you're an advocate and you could be a nurse and whatever, you're playing all these multiple roles for this child. It's really easy to feel like you're doing a lot and that you're not enough in this process. So I'm going to talk a bit about that, my journey and how I work and process through things. My journey with my daughter has been really interesting because I've never felt like, as I said, this came from some work that I did this morning. I'm working through some things in Nick Ortner's book, Tapping to Become Your Greatest Self. And one of the questions asked, well, what is an area of your life that you are avoiding? The chapter is on freeze response. Um, and so what is the area of your life that you may be avoiding or that you're afraid of or that you don't feel like you have a voice in? And one of those places was with my daughter. I feel like I avoid because I don't feel like I'm doing enough in that area. When I look over my body of work as a parent, I'm killing it. But there are still those times and spaces where, especially if we need to learn something new or if there needs to be a different level, especially as she gets older, um, it's easy to feel like I am not the right person to help her. And so I have been through different spaces of that in my relationship with her and feeling like I am not the right person to help her when in actuality, I was the perfect person to help her. And I had to go through and do my own work. I had to interact more with her and just be present and not necessarily trying to fix, because that's a big thing when when you have a kid with special needs, is that it's really easy to get caught up in the shit that needs to be fixed, in the IEPs and the doctor's reports and the therapist reports, and to get caught up in what needs to be done next and not just be present with the child, because you're kind of always in this whirlwind of working on things and not really being given the opportunity to be present. And that was why for one period of time we were doing therapies like when she was younger, we were doing therapy probably 4 to 5 times a week. And I felt horrible. It made me feel even less capable as a mom. So I was stressed out. She was stressed out. My oldest son was stressed out. And so there was a period of time that I snatched them out of all therapies. And again, as a parent of a child with special needs, you feel guilty about that because you're like, oh my God, what if they regress? Oh my goodness, what if I'm holding them back for another, you have all of this additional pressure on you that it feels heavy to even want to take a pause and just be a parent and just enjoy them where they are. But that was one of the best decisions that I made because it allowed me to be present with MJ, especially, and not knowing that the amount of time that we had, but it allowed me to slow down and to be present. And they didn't regress because even though we weren't in speech therapy or occupational therapy 3 to 4 times a week or doing ABA, all that other stuff, there was still some things that I was incorporating by just being a mom and by just incorporating them into the everyday life of the household. That was also giving them the same skill set that they were getting in some of these other therapies. So if you've ever felt that way, Don't spaz out about taking your kid out of therapy. There are therapeutic things that you can do while they are with you. So that's kind of our journey. It's not like it started out like this and now we're good. No, when it comes to this journey, there's always going to be an ebb and a flow. There's going to be times where you feel really confident about how you're showing up as a parent. And there are going to be times where you feel like I am so dropping the effing ball. Like this isn't even funny. Like I feel horrible. There are going to be those ebbs and flows because your kids are going to have ebbs and flows in how they process information and how they get things done. So this is not like when she was 5, I was stressed out. And now that she's 19, it's all good. No, there's a new level of ish that comes up as they hit different ages and as they hit different stages in their life, and how you have to shift and show up. And each time they shift, it forces you to reevaluate kind of how you're feeling about things and where you are. So if you know you're not going to stick with me for this full gag, no worries. Make sure that you sign up though for my Get Your Life Masterclass, because a lot of the things that I'll be talking about in this video, we're going to go into deep detail in the masterclass, and it's going to help you to deal with some of these issues of not feeling like you're doing enough with your kids, feeling like you're dropping the ball, feeling like you're dropping the ball in scheduling, or that you're just effing everything up for them and you're not really supporting them. It's going to help you to deal with a lot of those issues in a way that you wouldn't expect. And so the link for that is going to be thecharmedlife.live/masterclass. So, didn't introduce myself. I am Charmaine Johnson Fuller. I work with entrepreneurial moms of quirky kids to help them to create more time, energy, and focus in their life. So, feeling inadequate around parenting a child with special needs. Feeling inadequate as a parent, unfortunately, is like, it's normal, right? It's kind of unfortunately normal. Because of everything that we're told that we should do to be a good parent. And it's really easy to get, if you're, even if you're not in a lot of media or whatever, it's really easy to get caught up in a lot of that. But, feeling inadequate around parenting a child with special needs, even as I say that still, as I'm working through it, that still feels heavy. Because again, my daughter has switched stages. Like there was a time where it's like, bam, I got this. I am the shiznit with special needs parenting. And then there are these periods where I focus on the gaps. And it's like, man, I should have been showing her how to do this. Man, I should have been showing her how to do that. And again, I'm not being present in what we have done, how far she has come, and asking her, where does she exactly want to go with this entire process? There are 3 things that I think really get us as parents. One is, like I said, we have a lot of people in our mix. You have therapists, you have teachers, you have administrators, you have doctors, you have caseworkers, you have like all of these different factions that are, even though they may not be, but to me, it feels like they are secretly judging how you show up with your kids. That might not be true, but especially when you start dealing with the caseworkers, if your child receives any sort of respite care or SSI or anything like that, it almost feels like on some sort of sub level, you're being judged or, picked apart. It could be in my head. It could be for real. But I always feel like those caseworkers are low-key judging. Anywho, so you have a lot of people in your mix. And like I said before, one of the things that I did for that, and that was with using my system, is I go, okay, so how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel about this whole process of getting them the assistance they need? How do I want to feel about parenting and showing up with them? How do I want to feel just about everything? How do I want to feel about that? And that's one of the things that gave me the courage to cut out all of the therapies that were going on all at once. Now, I had 2 kids, and at one time I had 3 kids in some form of external therapies to help them out. And it was nerve-wracking. And at no time will these therapists say, oh my God, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you can pull out. Well, you know why they don't say that? It's because, they have a treatment plan. I honestly feel that, they're getting paid every time your kid shows up. And it's good to have people on their roster. So they're not exactly going to watch out for your mental and physical well-being. So that's something that you have to do on your own. And when you have a lot of people in your mix, like you do when you are parenting a child with special needs, is you have to have a system in place for yourself that's going to allow you space, because they will schedule you as much as you allow yourself to be scheduled. They are there to create what you feel like you need for your child. So that's one of the great things about, me using my own framework. It was like, okay, how do I want to feel about this? What are my goals for the kids? Like, what would I like for them to be able to do? Not what the therapist thinks would be great for them to have, but what would I feel like it would be great for them to do? And does that look like 3 to 4 days a week of therapy? Or does it look like let's touch in, every other week? Or what does that look like for me? How does that feel? And so I had to do that. I had to ask myself, how do I want to feel? What do I want it to look like? And what exactly are we working on? Because it's not like you're working on all the things all the time. So that allowed me to pull back and pull some of those people out of our mix. For right now, we just have the caseworker for right now. My daughter's older. We were going to add in ABA, but I'm like, why? Why right now? Her supports coordinator is great. Her CLS worker is awesome. And I work with them to, and together, and we come up with something beautiful. Could it be better? Sure. Could I add in more stuff? Yep. Is there room for growth? Most def. But my daughter's not stressed out. I'm not stressed out. She's happy and adjusted. She's still learning and picking up things, and it feels light and airy. So when you're thinking about the people in your mix, think about that. The second thing is that we have our own stories, right? And being a parent, you have your own stories about what you feel like you can do, what you feel like you can't do, how you feel like you need to show up, even though nobody has said that, but kind of the societal norms. So we have the stories of the societal norms that say how we're supposed to show up as parents, but nobody gives us the blueprint for when you're parenting a kid that has special needs. Like, nobody gives you that blueprint. And so what ends up happening is that we try to show up how a neurotypical parent might show up, and that stresses us out. And so dealing with your own stories around that and busting up some of those belief systems to create your own belief system that will serve you. And that's one of the things that, I had to do on my own. I had to do some EFT tapping. I'm still working with that and through that. Definitely sitting and journaling and going to therapy and taking care of changing the stories to create a narrative that I wanted to create it for me and my children. And that's another big thing that keeps us feeling like we're not enough, is that we're measuring ourselves up against someone else's level of excellence or what it should look like. And so we have these stories that swirl around that do not serve us, and it leaves us stressed out. Doing the things, like I said, doing the EFT tapping, doing the therapy, doing the journaling, doing the deep soul work that I needed to do to begin to create the own stories that would support me and my family was a big part of my work. And it's not something to be taken lightly. And it's not something that's going to happen in a weekend. Like, I honestly started doing this work back, Mason is 9. So probably like when Mason was 1 or 2, I started doing this work. And there's still things that come up each and every time I hit a new level, and things that I discover that I need to work on. The third thing is our fears about what we're doing or what we're not doing, or that we might mess up, or that it's not, how it's supposed to look. And moving through those fears, you can only move through those fears when you have a plan, and not a perfect plan, because it's never going to be perfect. But having a plan to move through those. And again, knowing how you want your life to feel, knowing what you're going after, and having those things in place for yourself so that you can begin to move beyond where you currently are. So that's pretty much it. Today I just shared with you why, I just shared with you, that, not feeling, talked about not feeling enough in parenting a child with special needs. It's unfortunately, again, it's unfortunately a common occurrence because of everything that we have going on. And you always see that there's more to do. Like even when you get your IEP and they may have gotten a 4 out of 5 or, 80% out of 100 trials and they're ready to move on to the next task, there's always going to be the next thing that they need to do, learn, or experience to experience a different level. Also, what I've discovered in this is that sometimes pulling back the throttle will give your child the biggest growth. Jalen had some of her largest growth. Even MJ had some of his largest growth when we pulled back the throttle out of all of those therapies. Mason had some of his biggest growth when we took all of the different tutoring sessions and extra therapy sessions and reading club and math club and all, like we took all that stuff out. He's now thriving. He feels capable. And sometimes that's what's needed. Again, these places will tell you everything that they think that you need to make your child's life better. And only you and your child can really determine that. These outside people are just, they're just suggestions in the suggestion jar. And you get to go in, you are empowered to go in and choose which one would fit best with how and where you guys are at this time. So I know you're struggling with this. I know that you need help and trying to at least put all the pieces to even see what's next in this, because that can get overwhelming. You get an IEP packet and it's like all these goals are like, oh my God, okay, so like which one do I work on at home? To help you put that together and to help you to realize that it's going to take more than a school year sometimes to get some things done. It's going to take more than a year. I tell the story about teaching my kids how to do laundry. And how with my oldest son, it took us over a year to teach him how to do laundry with PECS, which is picture exchange communication, and just with being persistent. Same thing with my daughter. When I think about it, and this is just to get her to separate laundry and stuff like that. It took us about a year to get her to do that and to not forget any steps. So understanding that this journey is not like a wham, bam, ooh, we're going to do these therapies and it's going to be cool. Remember, this is long haul. And so I know you're struggling with that and I know you're tired of dealing with that. And I am here to help you make it through. The masterclass will give you some great insight to that. Or if you just want to say bump the masterclass and you just want to reach out and we can do a discovery session, you can shoot me an inbox and we can talk and see how I could possibly help you. But this is just the start. Wherever you are in your journey with your child with special needs, this is just the start, no matter where you are. And don't take it so seriously. Like when you start taking it seriously is when you start disconnecting and you start feeling like you're not doing enough. And I know you're like, oh man, Charmaine, it's easy for you because, your daughter's 19 and you've been doing this for a minute. It's not. It's a continuous work. There are some days where I'll beat myself up. There are some days where I feel like laying in bed. Like I just did my daughter's, for me, like I have my own set of things that I work on personally with her. And I looked at that list of things that, she said she wants to work on things that I would like for her to work on. And I'm like, damn, and I had to go, Charmaine, one thing at a time. Focus on 1 or 2 things at a time. And once she gets confident enough in that, not necessarily mastering, but once she gets confident enough to do it independently or even semi-independently or not independently at all, that's okay. Move on. So I hope this was helpful. Remember to sign up for the masterclass. You will get some awesome tips and resources in there on how to take some of these pieces and make them work in your life. So until next time, remember, love yourself, love your family, love your business. The link to the masterclass is in the comments below. This is a little bit longer, but it was on my heart to do this morning because I was dealing with my own not enoughness and being a parent of a child with children, I should say. I'm a plural, children with special needs. But thanks so much for joining me. Have a fabulous week and have a fabulous Sunday. And I will see you all next time. Bye.